Action, Nyana. Say action so that I feel inspired.
Yes. And action!
Hello, hi, and welcome to 5 Unscripted. Kalibitso, Kinna Boipelo Mooketsi, and I am your radio bae. Now, guest today is not only a creative at heart, she is also an award-winning media personality. She's a radio presenter, she's an MC, she's an influencer, she's a content creator. Listen, she's in her bag, basically. Pamela Mtanga, welcome to 5 Unscripted. How are you?
I am good, thank you. How are you?
I'm fantastic, thank you. You look great. You look so pretty.
Thank you.
All right, so I've been looking forward to this chat for a young minute now, right? And I want us to go on a journey with your journey, and I want us to start at the very beginning. And let's go back to little Pam, right? Were you the kind of child who was on a papa, who was always front and center, or were you more laid back and you found your edge a little bit later on in life?
Yes, the latter.
Definitely
the latter. I firstly wanted to be a doctor when I was younger, and however, there was a bit of an interest, you know, when you're watching TV, especially the child presenters, child stars, and then you watch them on TV and you're like, I want to do that. And then you're just like, oh, whatever, it's not real, let's move on. And then graduated from high school and then went into varsity. In my first year of varsity, I actually studied electrical engineering, believe it or not. So I was, yeah, I know. So first year I studied electrical engineering. Then in my second year, I switched to a BA Media Communication and Culture. And within that year, that's when I started exploring what opportunities there are, or also just me as a person, what do I like? Outside of being told that you're a maths and science student, you have to get into either medicine, engineering, and all those traditional careers, you know? And I was like, actually, let's find something to do like within this campus. And obviously I switched from the nerdy campus into the cooler campus. So there was a radio station and I was just like, okay, let me just try it out, you know. And they didn't give me an interview. They just said, go on air and let's see how you go. I was just like, oh my goodness, did that. And then they just didn't contact me. And then the next Saturday, which was when the show airs, I bump into one of the guys. I happened to be on campus on a Saturday. And they were like, yeah, you have to be on air later. I'm like, but you didn't hire me. You didn't even interview me. You know? I don't even know. And then from there, I think a lot, I grew, and then a lot transcended into what I do right now. But I was never the child who's like loud and knowing that she's outgoing and she might just land up in this career. I never knew.
You never,
but I think there was just like that interest. I never thought I would be able to nurture and cultivate it.
All right, now we're in varsity. You are a Vodacom Next Level brand ambassador, I think it was. You're emceeing activations. You're emceeing almost everything. You're on Madiba's radio. I think your show was The Hit List, 9 to 12. So now you're at that phase of your life where you've transitioned from being this, you know, quiet, standoffish kind of character, and you're this blossoming butterfly. You're on stages, you're behind mics. What kind of phase are you in your life at that point as a person?
Self-discovery. I always say that varsity was the best opportunity afforded to me. It was like, before varsity, I didn't think or know that I'm interested in media. I didn't think that like, this is the career path that I want to go into. And I think, like the best way to describe it is a journey to self-discovery. I don't even remember half my modules. Varsity for me was not about the modules. It was not about the studying. It was more about me finding myself, who I am, what I want to do in the future. And and like more than anything, I was forced to MC, which is now my primary point of,
income.
I'm like, yes, I'm just like, oh my goodness, like I can't believe this, but I was forced to MC because when you're on radio, campus radio, they get a couple of sponsors and they're like, they want activations on campus and stuff, and then I was like, yeah, you doing this? I'm just like, no, I'm not ready. I don't want to do it. It's not my thing. It's not my thing.
Don't do this.
I like being behind the mic at the radio station. No one can see me.
Yeah.
And then they're like, no, today you're going to be on campus in front of everybody.
Oh, wow.
And you're going to MC this activation. Did an activation, and after I was like, quite like this.
I'm good at this.
I like this. I'm good. Let's do it. Let's get me another gig, and that's how I started MCing, and which is like I fell in love with the mic since.
Yeah. Now you are a content creator, influencer. You deal with a lot of brands, right?
Yeah.
I want us to now move to sort of monetizing content, right? You have a YouTube channel.
Yes.
I noticed that you don't have videos anymore. I don't know what happened.
So I'm rebranding. I'm coming back.
Okay.
So there's a lot that I'm working on at the moment that I felt like if we don't tell our stories, who will?
True
you
that.
know?
True.
Do you don't want to get to a point where it's only when, let's say, you're reaching age 30 or 35, whatever age, you know, and that's when people are deeming you interesting, you know.
Yes.
So now people want to see you, but like, when are you going to tell the story and the narrative from your point of view yourself, you know? So that's why I am deciding to go back to YouTube. And during the period that I stopped creating content, I gained about 8,000 new followers. I was just like, why are y'all following me? I'm not posting. So I didn't post for 2 years, and I gained a bit of a following just from videos that were chilling on my YouTube channel. So I was just like, there's something there. Let's try go back to YouTube.
Definitely.
And I'm so excited to be going back to YouTube, to be documenting and telling my story from my perspective. It's going to be vlog style, but also think of like a reality TV show style, but most of the time I'll be filming it myself, or my assistant will be helping me film it. It's nothing really like downright professional and cinematic, but everything will be shot by me and then edited professionally, just so we are giving people quality content. And outside of that, obviously there's Instagram. I have a really amazing Instagram community that really continues to be positive and just supportive of my journey, and I do not take that for granted. So I try my best to create content as authentically as possibly, but also challenge myself. From a branding perspective, yes, I work with a lot of brands. I work with a lot of brands, but I'm also very picky as to who I work with. Like, it's kind of like giving people access to you. That's the same kind of just like thing I apply when it comes to brand. Not everyone gets to get access to you. I always say that I'm a premium brand, but very relatable. So I'm not a luxury influencer. Premium, but very relatable. So I'll take a clothing brand that sells the top for $100 or $60, make it look expensive, you know, and that's what people like enjoy about my content. Other than that, I also just try my best to be as authentic as I can, just like outside of the brands and everything, but just like me. Just being authentic. This is the life that I live, you know, because we follow each other. You know, for instance, I break stuff around the house. And people, all the time. People relate to that more than they relate to you selling them stuff. True. It's the craziest thing. So people relate to the smallest of things, and they just love you for who you are. And social media can be a toxic space, but I think if you, from an Instagram perspective, you can try your best to control who you bring into your space, including brands and just followers.
All right. Now, you actually touched on a very interesting point there when you're saying you're a premium content creator. I love that because that's true. You go onto your Instagram page and you're just like, yeah, no, it looks like it would cost an arm and a leg to work with Pam. Right? How did you get to that point? What kind of conversations were you having with brands when it came to your rate? You know, I would like to think that in the beginning it was probably difficult to get to one. And without obviously disclosing how much your rate is, how did you get to a point where you're like, you know what, this is how much I charge, take it or leave it? Because I think a lot of people still struggle with knowing how to charge and having rates in general. So how did you get to that point?
I think as because a lot of people come when I do a Q&A on Instagram, they'll ask, how did you start, or how do you start charging brands? If you have 500 followers, can you bring brands in? I always say, if you have 500 followers, forget about brands. If you have 1,000 followers, forget about brands. Like, don't make that your primary focus. With 1,000 followers or 500 followers, you have to discover what your niche is.
Yes.
You have to tell yourself, this is the type of content that I'm creating. This is what I'm selling. This is my style. This is the kind of brand that Pam gets to work with, or I get to work with these kind of brands. These are the kind of brands that I want to have access to me. This is the messaging that I send through my content. This is my style of content. This is how I want my content to be shot. You know, as soon as you decide what your content is, what your niche is, what are you creating and giving to your audience, that's when you can start bringing brands in. Because if you bring in brands at a very early stage in your career, they get to dictate what you post. They tell you what their style is. You have to mimic their style. Everything that you do has to mimic their style, you know. So for instance, I personally don't do flat lays. I don't do flat lays, especially as a primary image on my Instagram. I always say that, like, if you want to post a picture of your product as the brand, post it on your page.
Yes.
But people are coming to my page. People are coming to my page to see me, to experience me. So I give people a social media experience. So that's what I sell. And your brand is a part of that social media experience, you know? So for me, I always emphasize that, like, you have to find your style, find your niche first before bringing brands in. So as soon as I, like, found my niche, like, I look back at the content that I used to create before I actually discovered what I want to do from an Instagram perspective. And I was like, why were brands even giving me stuff? Why?
Because you're Pam.
I was like, why? There's a makeup tutorial that I did in the garden. I was standing up. Why?
You just like, look at this.
Exactly. That was before finding my niche, but now I know my style of content. I know the story that I'm trying to tell, you know. I work with a group of Black creatives, you know, and that's another part of my unique selling point, is that, like, when you're paying me for a particular post, you're paying for the social media experience, you're paying for the access to audience, you're paying for the Black creatives that I do not believe that should be underpaid.
Definitely.
You're paying for access to my audience. There's a lot of things that you're paying for when you're paying me. So when you come to me, don't think, oh, it's just like another cheap way to access the market. This is the demographic we're trying to access, so let's go with Pam. No. You have to believe in those things. You have to believe that there's an audience that we are selling to authentically. There is Black creatives that need to be paid their worth. There is Pam who needs to create a social media experience. I literally sit down and put a mood board together for every piece of content. So when I receive a product, it's like, how can I market this product differently? That's the first question I ask myself when I create content. How can I make it interesting? How do I make it, like, because the attitude right now from a social media perspective is to see a branded piece of content and you're just like, oh, it's another ad. That's the attitude.
Can I actually jump in there? Sorry to interject, but there's a recent campaign that a particular brand has been doing. The color's purple, so that should tell you. But I won't mention their name, right? You've got a beautiful video that you put together. It looks, I was watching it with a friend and she's just like, Pamela is like on another level of content creation. And she was like, I'm sorry to compare, but everyone else is just taking a picture with this thing or a video, nyana. But she gives you an experience. So that's exactly what you're talking about.
Exactly. I want to give you an experience every time you come on my social media, because I just believe that, like, if I can just take a picture of the product, go to the brand's page. But if you're coming to me, let me give you that social media experience that you feel like, let me not ignore this. Let's actually watch this. Let's see this. Especially now that in the past 2 months, the Instagram algorithm has been the craziest. Has been the craziest for everybody. Everybody I know has been complaining about the algorithm. It's absolutely crazy. So I try my best to create such beautiful content in order for me to get to a point where I'm just like, people are seeing the content and they have no choice but to share the content or interact with it.
All right. Now, going back a little bit to, I don't want to really touch on the YouTube channel, but I have to get to my next question. So I remember when I first the first piece of content that I watched from you, I was actually introduced to it by someone who is, I think, your friend. And I was also still doing campus radio at the time. He's like, yeah, I know this chick who does radio. She's amazing. Check her out. This is a YouTube channel. And then I watched a video where you and Casper were going to, I think it's Madiba's radio for an interview. Yeah. And it was crazy how, you know, the institution received you. People were excited to see you. Yes, they were excited to see Casper, because it's Casper, yeah. But they were also very excited to see you as Pam. So how has it been for you to receive so much love, particularly from your Instagram family? You go live a lot, I know, because I'm on your lives a lot too. So that sort of response that you've gotten, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on Instagram, how has it felt like for you, and how do you maintain it?
Yeah, that's hectic. So I think the COVID pandemic really put us in a place where we're like forced to be present on a social media front. I don't want to lie, I started taking Instagram seriously when the COVID pandemic hit. I was creating content here and there, starting to find my niche, but more so when the COVID pandemic hit. I was like, okay, cool. We got to get serious. We can't reach people from an emceeing perspective on the ground. Let's reach them from a social media perspective. From a campus perspective, like, I'm from Nelson Mandela University, and Madiba's radio was where I started out. So the people that I left at varsity were still there because I was freshly graduated. Like 2 years later, that's when I went back to varsity. And the love was absolutely like shocking. Client was also like shocked, like, oh my goodness, Pam is a celebrity. Pam is a celebrity on campus. It became a joke. I'm like, no guys, it's not like that. And the reason why I was also just very connected to campus, I was doing a lot of campus brand activation for brands, you know, so that's where I made most of my income when I was still an intern at work. Like, I could tell you the story. So in the first year I was working with this bank, they did Shekinah. We were doing the Shekinah and the crowd was dead. So client is like, we need something, there's something wrong with the crowd. We just need life. Yeah, we just need a bit of life. And then so that when Shekinah comes, it's just a bit lively, yes. So I was like, okay, cool. I did it for an hour. Oh my gosh, she's good. Like is this what she does?
We like her.
We like her. And then I did it. She came on, crowd was hyped. And then the next campus I didn't go because I wasn't booked to do anything. I just happened to be on campus because the agency I worked for was hosting the activation. And then, I kid you not, the second activation, she kind of said, I'm not doing this without Pam.
Wow.
She literally said that. And that's how the relationship with the bank started. And 5 years later, the bank still books me for activations and stuff like that. It was just because of the one person who said, I'm not doing this without Pam. And I always speak of like that one person who's willing to say your name and vouch for you and recommend you for something. Sometimes they're not in a position of power, or they do not recognize their position of power until they actually say, actually, this is the person. You know, I always say that, like, you may be as talented as I don't know who in the world, You may work hard, but you need someone, a brand or an individual to say, let's endorse that person, let's go with them, let's recommend them, let them do the job. And that's how that relationship started. And the campus activations from there, we only grew. So every time I went back to campus, I was a familiar face.
Yes.
So that's why, like, the more I went to campus, I was like, oh, Pam is around.
The bigger the reach.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
But obviously in the last 2 years, there's a new set of students. It's different on campus. We did a campus activation recently, and campus has at least 5% of students. The others are online.
Online, at home.
Yes,
Yeah.
so it has changed drastically. But from a social media perspective, we continue to grow, and I absolutely enjoy my Instagram community because I'm very real with like who I am. I'm not trying to fake or be someone else.
Yeah.
I'm also very honest about like my social anxiety. I'm also honest about like my career, how I'm growing, how I'm doing this, how I'm doing that. So for me, it's really about just, there is a market for people who are maybe like fake and just keeping up appearances. People love them.
Yes.
There definitely is a market.
Yes.
But I'm a different type of person, and I just like embrace who I am, and I just like share my growth as much as I can. And I just want to encourage like a generation of people who just want to work and do better, and just like knowing that your success is inevitable is a message that I constantly want to push.
Oh, I love that. Sheesh. Let's talk about your industry. Do you think that the influencer space or industry in general is saturated? A lot of people are saying, oh no, especially since lockdown happened.
Yes.
There were a lot of people who opened YouTube channels, a lot of people who started doing things on IGTV, and naturally, I mean, there was nothing else to do, you know? But very few have maintained ever since. But do you think that the market is saturated?
You know what? The market can be saturated. It's a very natural progression, especially coming out of lockdown.
Yes.
But as a content creator or as a person going into any industry, if you believe in something and you know you can do it, go for it, because there's no other you within that industry. Everybody else is themselves. You just have to show up as yourself, you know? And when it comes to content creation as well, like there could be 10 makeup content creator. Your question to yourself is, how can I do it differently?
Yes.
What is my USP? So there's a girl, for instance, who does this, she does her makeup while she is talking about your relationships, like how your relationships are so whack, how her boyfriend is amazing, and it's always the funniest thing. Like no one really cares to even see her boyfriend, but you're looking at her doing her makeup and she's just dragging you through it, and it's the funniest thing. And there's another makeup artist who just her name is Kalumi Sim.
Yes,
she does
amazing
makeup, and she like does different brands. She does a Cotton Fest one as well in honor of Ricky Rig. It's absolutely beautiful. And you know what? A lot of people say, yeah, there's a lot of content creators who are doing makeup. Just ask yourself, how can I do it differently? And head out there, and you will, I promise you, have your own audience that supports what you do, absolutely loves what you do. And naturally, there are people who started doing content during the lockdown period, and they stopped after the lockdown period. Perhaps it was something they needed to pick up during that time, to pass time. It wasn't their passion, you know? But some people came out of there as really amazing content creators that are getting TV gigs right now, that are like doing amazing. They're having billboards. Some of them have billboards, which is absolutely amazing. I think you have to, as a person, be so comfortable and so content with your craft as a person and growing yourself.
Yes.
rather than focusing on the fact that like they're new makeup artists or they're new
Everybody
content creators
does it.
within that. Everybody's doing this, but like we're the OGs or whatever. Stop being an OG and see how you can innovate within those spaces that you're in order for you to grow. Be so obsessed with your growth that when you're seeing another person win, you're clapping for them and not thinking they're stealing your space. No one is hogging a spot. So there's I remember when we were at Madiba's radio and Casper was like, people were asking him like, what do you think about opening up the industry, because it was quite the topic during that time. What do you think about the industry, and do you think there's space for people like Pam and all of that stuff? And he was like, you must also remember that like no one is hogging Pam's spot.
Yeah.
Pam is going to grow. Pam is going to grow and she's going to blossom when her time is her time.
Yes.
When it's literally her time, she's going to blossom. So no one is hogging her spot. So like as soon as, and I think from there, I started believing it as well. That like every time someone gets a gig and I don't, maybe I auditioned for it or whatever, I always say like, it was not your gig.
Yeah.
It was their gig. Even if someone else outside is trying to console you and say, no, Pam would have been better for that. You deserved it. But like, no, it was her time to either mess it up or to be brilliant at it. They bring something to the brand that I don't bring. Maybe it's a style thing. It's not even about like how I speak. Yes, it's the style. They're fresh. They're in touch with the Gen Z market that maybe I'm not in touch with, you know? So you have to be content to say that it's not my time and no one is hogging my spot. When my time is right,
everything will align.
Everything will align. And when it does align, oh honey, you better work hard at it to make sure you stay there.
Yes,
So,
indeed. Now, you just pointed out that you have social anxiety.
Yes.
And I have anxiety as well. Just in general. Not even the social one. Just
okay, I'm not diagnosed. I'm self-diagnosed. Like, okay, how we see this one.
How important do you think it is for young people right now, because we live in such a digital era, to, you know, sometimes take a break from, especially you as a content creator, an influencer who basically gets her bread and butter online? Do you sometimes take those breaks, and is it important for you to take those breaks just from the space and just be one with self?
Girl, I want a break right now. I want a break right now. How about that? How about it? So I'm one of those people who don't necessarily take a social media break where you're like completely off social media. You know, I've never really taken one. I can do a day or like 2 days, but I never really take a full on break. However, I do take a break from content creation, because you can imagine I come up with my own ideas for content creation. Every time a brand is like, we have 3 days, create this content, I have to reach out to my medulla oblongata and everything.
Decide.
Le cerebrum, everything. Everything. You have to come together to make sure this campaign works. So think, you know. So I am responsible for that. But it gets a lot sometimes because the ideas are not flowing anymore. And you feel like, actually, I don't want to bring my subpar ideas or energy into this campaign or whatever the case may be. So I decided after an experience with a brand that I was just like, I actually need to take a break. Not only to restructure and work on the things that I really want to work on, because my foundation just got registered recently. So that's what I'm working on. And I was like, I do not have any energy to pour into content creation right now. I don't have any ideas, and it's okay. It's okay not to be able to do it. But obviously, as a person, I can do that from a point of privilege. I understand that I'm privileged enough to say that I'm taking a break. Don't want to do it right now. Please give me 2 months. It's a point of privilege that I've created for myself.
True.
No one is funding me or whatever the case may be. I created that privilege for myself. I worked hard enough to be able to afford a break, you know. So I know, because people will be like, yeah, but Pam makes a lot of money and she can take a break. Yes.
I worked
to get to that point. You also have to work to get to the point where you're able to get to take a break, to say, okay, actually, this is not where I want to be right now, and like find different ways for you to actually cope. Social media is a lot. I don't think we are. I saw a tweet the other day that says that humans were not built to know what millions of people think of them. You are not built to.
It's not your thing.
It's not our thing. Now millions of people have an opinion about you, what you dress like, or your content and everything.
Like,
I don't think so. And I always say that, like, I plan to retire at 40. I always say that. I always plan to retire at 40 because I always say that there's no way you can every day get people who absolutely love you. I love you so much. You are amazing at what you do. You're such an inspiration. You're a role model. Some people cry in front of you.
Yeah.
You overestimate your place in society.
Yes, you
At
do.
some point, you'll feel like, actually, as I enter this room,
I am the business.
yes, I'm the business.
Yeah.
You guys have to bow down.
Yeah.
That is not
Yeah.
natural
Yeah.
for people to think that every day when you're amazing. You start believing, yes, I'm amazing, but I'm way above them.
Yeah. That's where the problem
Yeah,
comes.
yes, because it's gonna get to that point. So you have to get to a point where you're just like, okay, let me take a break and come back to reality. That's why you must surround yourself with like genuine people who want to be around you, not only business acquaintances, but just like people who genuinely want to be your friend, and not because of your social standing or what you do in society. Just like you for who you are. You know, spend time with family, genuine people that see you for who you are and not because of what you bring from a social currency perspective. Just for who you are. Read a book if you want to read. Find a hobby.
Yes.
You know, I always emphasize, guys, find hobbies. I promise you. And as soon as your hobby becomes monetized, find another hobby that you won't monetize.
True
And
that.
you monetize it again. Find
Find
another
another
hobby.
one. Yeah.
Find another hobby
Yeah.
because you want to exist outside of your work in order for you to feel like I'm actually a human.
Yes.
I'm a normal person. I'm a normal person and I do normal things. You know, there's no way that like you're entering a room and like you have thousands of people who are saying, "Oh my goodness, you're such an inspiration," and they're crying as
Yes,
they
and
see.
they love to see you.
They
Yeah.
love you. If
Yeah.
that's what you hear every day, that like yeah, because I've heard things like Pam is above all these content creators, everything or what. I was like, yeah, but like after some while, it will get to your head.
It would.
It will get to your head, and you start believing it. And the way in which you will act on social media will reflect as well.
Yes.
You know, you don't want it to get to a point. So you have to make sure you stay grounded. Find ways to stay grounded.
Oh, I love that. Finding ways to stay grounded is really important. Now, you saying that you're grounded, you're humbled, you're like, I'm not about to be like this pompous person, but you're an award-winning media personality, right? You'd think that, this one, she can blow her own horn if she wants to. Come on.
Yeah.
You've worked hard to receive that award, and I can assume that it means a lot to you.
Yeah.
How did it feel to actually win your first sort of industry award? How did it feel for you?
Firstly, I was in Cape Town when I was told I won the award. So I was like, yeah, they're like, yeah, the awards are happening this evening, so could you please record a video where you're saying, hey guys, thank you so much for the award, whatever the case may be. Naturally, I was just like, it's my first award, so this is probably what they do to all the
Everyone who's
the
not a-
nominees.
Yeah,
So in
yeah.
case you win, they play the video.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that was my thinking.
Of course.
So I like, yeah, so let me record this video. Recorded it. I was at a sushi place. I was just like, let me just record this video. Hi guys, thank you so much. It's amazing. Yeah. So record it, send it. Yeah, man, in the evening. There are people who are actually there. Some industry mates, marketing people, tech people. And it's actually a huge event.
Yeah.
And then they record and then they playing my video, and then everyone is recording and tagging me. I was just like, weird. So I won. Hectic. Hectic. That
were
was
like,
my
hectic.
response. I was like, hectic.
Yeah.
Then I sat down for a bit. I was like, I don't know what this means. I really don't know what it means, what it will do for my career. I really don't know what it means. So I wasn't excited initially. I wasn't excited because I was very puzzled as to what does it mean?
Yeah.
It's my first
What
award
next?
as an adult.
Yeah.
You know, like, what does this mean? But like I sat and I thought of it, I was just like, Pam, this is not just like an influencer award ceremony. It's a marketing award ceremony,
Yes.
recognizing like campaigns that are like groundbreaking, recognizing people who are doing amazing within the tech industry, recognizing people who have a global footprint when it comes to education, the UN, and all of that stuff. And I'm just, these are important people.
Yeah.
So if you didn't think you were important before,
Well, now you
Bob's
know.
your uncle. Very important, Pam.
Yes.
Very important. And then this means that like brands are also looking within these awards and seeing that there's like a sphere of marketing, which is influencer marketing. That is not only just like a division that we pour like a young 50K change into when we feel like it as brands. Oh, we have change from the billboards and our marketing budget, let's just throw it there. No, it's an actual marketing sphere that brands have to look into. So, and you're one of those people who are leading within that marketing sphere, and you should be proud of yourself. So that's how I ended up receiving it.
Oh, and we are so proud of you. Well
Thank
done.
you.
That is
Thank
like
you.
a brilliant accolade, and congratulations once again.
Thank you.
Now, we're nearing the end. I think we've went on this journey. From Little
Yes.
Pam, Varsity Pam,
Yes.
Established Pam, award-winning Pam. What do you want to be remembered as?
My purpose is to make people happy. My purpose is to make people happy. So whether I'm on stage delivering a script that is given by a brand, I want to make you happy. Whether I'm on social media giving you a social media experience, I want to make you feel happy. Whether you encounter me face to face,
Yes.
on the side of the road, seeing me shopping or whatever at the market, I want to make you happy. I want to make you feel like, oh, Matt Pam, she's such a dope person.
Yes.
Whether I'm doing work for my foundation, I want to make you happy. I want to make you feel like this person made a difference in my life, whether she bought me a packet of pads, a pair of shoes, or she simply gave me a lollipop as an act of kindness. But I want to make people happy, not to please people,
Yeah.
but to make people happy. So that's what I want you to remember, because after all is said and done, with all the work that I'll do, like all the clothes that I'll influence people to buy, all the award shows that I'll one day do,
Of course.
all the
Of course.
TV shows that I'll one day do, fashion lines, whatever that I create, after all is said and done, you'll be left with a feeling.
Yes.
You'll be left with the feeling, how I made you feel, whether it's the first encounter, the second encounter, or every time I step on stage, or every time I speak to you directly. I want to make you happy.
Yes, because people don't really remember what you say, but they remember how you
you
made them feel. Yes,
Exactly.
indeed. Pamela, thank you so much for coming through. You are absolutely amazing. Okay, cool. So I want to play a quick game with you. It's 5 questions. You've got 5 seconds to answer them. Right? So you can't take longer than 5 seconds, otherwise we got a problem.
Okay.
Can take literally 3 seconds maybe to think about it. But by the time I get to my 5th finger, you must have answered.
Okay.
Okay. The first one, cheat or get cheated on?
Cheat. Hi, Bo.
You don't want to get cheated on?
Hi, for no.
Oh my goodness.
Excuse
All
me,
right.
ma'am.
Second one, be ignorant and happy or knowledgeable but never content?
Ignorant and happy.
Okay. Tea or coffee? I know you don't drink alcohol.
Tea. Tea. But there's a certain type of very washed down version of coffee that I like because my granddad used to love it.
Oh, nice. Last one, MCing or radio?
MC.
You're just like,
Like,
simple, I ain't on radio right now.
Yeah,
so.
I ain't on radio right now. So definitely MCing. You can give me a mic any day or time. I am there.
All right.
I am
Awesome
there.
stuff. Ladies and gents, Pamela Mtanga, thank you so much for coming through. This was delightful. Make sure to follow her. You heard she's a global brand. So go there, search her, follow her. Pamela, thank you so much for your time.